Yeah. I've actually, so the first property that I was going to buy, I realized that, it wasn't going to be a good investment. And I was told that really right before going in and, buying that property. So the reason for that was because it was a duplex and the duplex required me to pay a lot of the utilities up front every single month, eating significantly into the property margins and the kind of the way the home was kind of structured, you know, it was for two kind of families, but there weren't too many bedrooms or bathrooms in both the kind of, in both the bottom part of the house and the top part, right? So in terms of the bedrooms and the bathrooms, that allows you to basically rent out to more individuals.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Erika, and today I'm joined by someone that I'm excited to chat with, Camden Francis. He's been making serious moves in the real estate world. Camden, I'm so glad to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
I think our listeners who are new to real estate are really going to appreciate your story. So, let's jump on in. Can you tell us more about what it was like getting into real estate?
Getting into real estate for me was a process. I first needed to kind of learn a lot of information. I read, several books, and, those books kind of had some of the information that I needed. I did research, online, asking peers that were in real estate. And I even kind of got my own real estate advisor, who could advise me, throughout the process, the things that go well, the things that maybe don't really go my way. It's good to kind of have multiple opinions, and kind of ask questions before jumping into something. So, I did some due diligence, but it was a very, very good decision. Yeah.
Yeah. And can you walk through more what the process was like scaling responsibly and calculating risk and all those things that could feel really overwhelming when you're getting started?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
So for getting started for myself, I, made the decision to go with a property management firm. And, they had a lot of experience in, real estate. They've been kind of doing this for decades. And, they were kind of coaching me through a lot of the kind of basic steps in terms of how to scale, what kind of leverage you could use. For me personally, I kind of had a lot of investments stored away in a Fidelity account. And I had a team at Fidelity that was managing those resources from some kind of tech company exits as well as some other kind of money. And kind of what, they are doing or what the property management firm has done is they suggested, let's take it a loan. Camden, you have great credit, and, you have that, money sitting in the Fidelity account that we could use as collateral. So, I was able to take out a loan on my first property. I got very great terms. And I decided actually to buy the property in the Ohio area. I'm based in kind of Boston, Massachusetts, but the property prices here, you know, at 21, they're a little steep, So I wanted to really do due diligence, but also have a strategy and a game plan. So I think that really has to go into scaling responsibly. It really, like, what's your setup? What kind of is the money that you're accruing? You know, do you have a strategy and a team that can help guide you in the right direction?
Absolutely, those are important steps. And with Camden, with the Ohio market, what opportunities and challenges are you finding
Yes.
there?
With the Ohio market still being in Massachusetts and kind of building a portfolio there, some challenges are not always being there. So I'm determined heavily and relying heavily on the property management firm that I have calls with week in and week out that, they have their due diligence process. And I realized, whether, this is kind of something to think about, whether I went into the Massachusetts market or, right, a market that was miles away from me, miles and miles away from me. The due diligence that, the property management firm is doing, needs to be top tier. The tenant screening, making sure that the tenants are properly screened. They're doing background checks on the tenants. They're not rushing to place tenants. They're looking for very high quality people that are renting your property, right? All of those kind of processes, needed to be very thorough. So in terms of some challenges, it's not really for me, it's not being there, physically, as well as, because I've lived in Massachusetts all my life, I understand that market a little better. However, by having the home prices in Ohio be a lot less in buying a single family property instead of like a duplex. I was able to save money on utilities because with the duplex, you're paying a lot of the utilities. With a single family, you know, the people that are living in the property, the family is paying a lot of those utilities. So it doesn't eat away at, you know, the rent that you're getting every month. So those are just a few things to think about. But I've had a pretty good experience so far. Pretty good.
Yeah, and I also think your background with tech has helped you out well. Can you share with our listeners, with having that background, how it's given you a unique perspective on real estate?
Yeah. So, with tech in particular, especially where AI is right now, we built our first AI company, right when AI was just getting kind of talked about a little bit before ChatGPT and, launched. And what it was an AI advertising platform. So it was streamline your advertising from end to end. In addition to that, we've had a lot of success in the software space, but really what got me into, you know, kind of building businesses was my father. He's an avid entrepreneur himself, very accomplished, as well as, I read a book by Ray Dalio that inspired me. And the book and his philosophy talked about building a portfolio.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And what that means is building, multiple streams of income multiple asset producing, you know, streams that could protect yourself, at times where, maybe things don't go your way. So, a crypto portfolio, but balancing that out with, a tech company or, having a large investment account like my Fidelity account and balancing that out with real estate. So, if one of these things doesn't go well, you still have your other kind of asset that you can kind of rely on. So that was really my approach to building wealth was, having, a tech company or multiple tech companies and then having real estate and investments and kind of, building that portfolio. So I would say that, for a lot of the business, or entrepreneurial individuals, really getting started with something that you're passionate about. If it's real estate, finding a strategy, kind of speaking with a real estate advisor, an avid real estate investor that's been doing it for, decades on end. And just asking questions, attending events. There's so many real estate events that maybe if you don't have the, income to jump into it right now, you could be spending this time learning. So when you do, you're going to have, you know, 5 years of wisdom, 3 years of wisdom, that you could leverage to, maybe avoid some kind of beginner mistakes.
Yeah, and what you said right there about having the passion for what you do, I think that's so important because there's going to come a time where a
Yeah.
deal goes sideways or you have to pivot. Camden, have you had one of those moments on your journey, and what did you learn from it?
Yeah. I've actually, so the first property that I was going to buy, I realized that, it wasn't going to be a good investment. And I was told, that really right before going in and, buying that property. So the reason for that was because it was a duplex and the duplex required me to pay a lot of the utilities up front every single month, eating significantly into the property margins and the kind of the way the home was kind of structured, you know, it was for two kind of families, but there weren't too many bedrooms or bathrooms in both the kind of, in both the bottom part of the house and the top part, right? So in terms of the bedrooms and the bathrooms, that allows you to basically rent out to more individuals. And, thinking back on my journey, it's been trial and error, countlessly learning. I really love to, before I purchase anything, whether it's a tech company, because we invest in businesses, we acquire businesses, I really try to basically do layers of due diligence. So I recommend that for anyone getting started, you know, do your homework, do your research, ask questions. Can't emphasize that enough.
Is there any tools or software or systems that you use to make that due diligence go smoother?
Mhm. I know that my property management team is always kind of doing data analysis and looking at, softwares and property in their area. And the softwares they kind of own, they kind of have their own unique software. Um, but I would say that for beginners, software is always helpful. Even kind of having a familiarity with using technology, right? So like Zillow, right? How do you use Zillow, right? How do you look at houses on there? There's so many people that don't have, confidence using technology where when it's really helpful. So you could look at different softwares and, utilize those to, um, have the right data to make informed decisions in the real estate space.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Absolutely. And earlier in the conversation, Camden, when you were talking about getting started, you talked a lot about the relationships that you had built and
Yes.
finding an advisor. I want to
Yes.
go back to that for a moment. For the listeners here who are looking to level up, they
Mhm.
know they need to build their network. They're
Yeah.
just getting started. What kind of advice would you give them? Like, where should they go when they're just getting started?
When, I was just getting started, I really reached out to the people in my immediate network, kind of close friends and family. And that's really kind of what I've leaned on. If you have close friends, maybe that own real estate, invest in real estate. It's going to be a good idea to reach out, to connect with them and really to hear about their approach, kind of their journey. Because to be frank, some people absolutely love real estate and I love real estate. My plan was to get in early at 21 and to basically continue. Well, I got in at like 18, but to continue through, the duration of my lifetime. So I can kind of continue buying properties. But some people don't like real estate, and they have a different vehicle for their success. So it's asking the right questions, and kind of building a team. So I have a real estate advisor that I'm very kind of close with. She's actually my aunt. She's been in real estate for over 50 years. Um, and then in addition to that, I work with a property management firm, property management team. They have a whole team, that does placing of tenants to kind of looking at new properties to acquire, new investments. And then also, I have a team at Fidelity that's constantly doing financial planning. Every time, one of the companies are making money, instead of putting it in like a bank account, um, I put it into the Fidelity account so that they can kind of manage it, do financial planning and look at, hey, what investments do we want to make in this quarter? What are we thinking? It's really going in with a team. These people are all professionals. So you're hearing this information from me. This information I'm getting from dozens of people. So this is some knowledge I've learned from several very accomplished individuals, and I'm breaking it down in a way that's kind of easy to understand and digest.
Absolutely. Is there, anything that you would do differently now if you were just starting today with real estate?
I would say I'm very grateful for when I started. I would say it's really great to start early because, starting early and when you make a mistake, it's not overly burdensome, hopefully. Um, I'm grateful for when I started, but, I knew that I leveraged a lot of prior success and knowledge and wisdom. I founded a charity, called Beyond the Crisis when I was 16. It made the Boston Business Journal because of its impact. Um, and, the charity was very successful because of our advisory board. We had a US congressman that did advocacy work for food insecurity. And then we had, a president of a large global charitable foundation. So we won a lot of grants and we were able to help a lot of people. However, kind of looking at how that business, or how that organization, it's not a business, it's an organization, how that ran, right? Um, it was successful because of our leadership, because of the mentorship and the knowledge that was accumulated for a lot of years and was passed on to me to kind of run it successfully. So in terms of the mistakes I made, they weren't, paralyzing because I had people that I could rely on and trust. I had good advocates for me. So, taking that knowledge and applying it to my real estate journey, I built a great team, of people that I could rely on. And I would say that that's made the journey a lot more fun. It's made the journey just a lot more enjoyable. So
That's awesome that you're enjoying the journey. And when it comes to what's next on that journey, Camden, what's the vision or goal that you have in mind?
I think for myself, really looking forward, it's to continue to grow, continue to grow this real estate portfolio, to continue to learn, to continue to meet with very admirable people that are, they've been in this space a lot longer than myself. I like to kind of build little small networks and, that's kind of a plug to a company called Universe that, is coming out soon. But I like to build small networks and, those networks, you know, allow me to learn and gain information from very, motivating and admirable individuals. I was inspired early on by Jack Doherty. He's a, young entrepreneur around my age at 21. I think he owns, 30 homes, 30 homes at 21 years old, and his real estate portfolio is valued at like 60 million. So something crazy like that. So there's, always people to be admired by, always kind of new mountains to climb. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Camden, if someone wants to reach out, connect with you, they're looking for some advice, they're just getting started. How can they reach you?
Reach me in my website, www.camdenfrancis.com. I'll respond over there. I have social medias. I use Instagram. My Instagram is camfrancis1. You can reach me over there. You can send me an email at info@camdenfrancis.com. There are a million ways to reach me. And another reason I did this podcast is I love, Gen Z. I want to be, kind of a resource for them. I'll tell you all about my journey, the ins and outs, ups and downs, and, looking forward to kind of hearing from you guys. Awesome.
Camden, I appreciate you being on the show today and sharing your info for the next generation.
My pleasure. I enjoyed the experience. It was wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And for our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you're subscribed to the Real Estate Pros podcast. We've got more conversations lined up with pros like Camden who are out there building fantastic real estate businesses. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.